I'm gonna be making a big pot of beans, and then I'm gonna show you how I refry them. Now, hopefully I'll be able to answer any question that you may have about cooking a pot of beans and refrying them, because beans are an essential part to everyday Mexican cooking. So today I'm gonna show you how to make them step by step. Let's get started. So these are the ingredients that I'm going to be using today to make my pot of beans. I have 2 pounds of pinto beans. Now when you go to your grocery store, look for the beans that are light colored like this, because I think these are the fresh ones. Sometimes you find them real brown, and I think those are the old ones. And I've got 1 large garlic clove. As you can see, I already smashed it. That's because I wanted to break it open so all the flavor can come out when I put it into the pot. I'm going to be using some salt as needed, and I've got half of a small onion. I'm also going to be using 1 smoked ham hock. Now, if I can't find a ham hock, which is always my first choice, I will use bacon, and I try and get smoked bacon because that's what's going to give your pot of beans a fantastic flavor. Now, I've got a pot right here, and I've got some hot water in it ready to go. I'm going to drop my ham hock in here. There's my garlic clove, and here's the half of the small onion. That's all I'm going to put for right now. So I'm going to replace the lid, and I'm going to wait until it comes up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to lower the temperature to a medium low. So now that my ham hock is in the pot with the onion and the garlic, I'm going to clean my beans. Now you always want to clean your beans first before you cook them, because you will find that these beans have a lot of debris. Some beans are shriveled up. Some are broken in half, and you can even find little rocks in there. And you don't want to bite into one of those rocks because it'll break your tooth. So you want to remove all the broken ones like that. See how they're split in half? And if you find some that are real brown or shriveled up, you want to get those out also. Now sometimes you can go through a bag and not find any rocks, but sometimes you will. So I'm going to continue going like this until you have them all cleared out. Now once you have cleaned your beans, you want to rinse them really well under cold running water like this. So I have rinsed my beans really well, and I've got a Dutch oven right here with very hot water. I'm going to put my beans in here. You see, I'm going to let them sit here for a little while so they can double in size. Now as you can see, the water's come up to a boil. I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to replace the lid, and I'm going to move them aside. And I'm going to let them sit there and soak for 30 minutes, just like that. Now I just drained my beans, and look at how they doubled in size. I think that the beans cook a lot faster when you let them sit for at least 30 minutes in hot water, see? So now I'm going to put my beans into my pot. So I'm going to stir it around like this and make sure that everything is submerged underwater. Some people like to replace their lid and let them cook with a lid on. Some people cook them with a lid off. But I feel that if you cook your beans with a lid off, then the water evaporates. So I always keep my lid on. And I make sure that I've got boiling water in my tea kettle at all times in case I need to add some water. You don't want to add some cold water in there because then the temperature goes down and then you've got to wait until it comes up to a low boil again. Now, if you notice, I haven't added any salt. I've got my salt right here, but I'm not going to add my salt until the beans have cooked for about 30 minutes. I think that the beans get a little tough if you add the salt in the very beginning. At least that's what my mom always said. I like to cook my beans for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. It depends on what kind of pot you're using. Now, a Dutch oven like this cooks your beans really quick, and especially when you soak them. But if you're using another kind of a pot, your beans may take longer to cook. So I'll let you take a look at them when the 30 minutes are up. So it's been 30 minutes, and now it's time to add my salt. You can add a little bit of salt right now, and you can slowly be adding a little bit more and a little bit more and tasting them as you go along so that it'll be just perfect the way you like them. See, look at this. So I'm going to stir them up just a little bit like this. And I'm going to replace my lid, and I'm going to let them continue cooking until they're nice and soft and just perfect. So it's been 1 hour and 45 minutes, and my beans are ready. Now you know your beans are ready when you can get a couple of them and you can smash them down and then they're real nice and soft. You see, and they're real creamy. See? It smells real smoky in here, just delicious. So I'm gonna remove them off the heat and I'm getting ready to refry them. And I'm gonna be using a cast iron skillet to refry my beans. I like using a cast iron skillet because they really get nice and refried. Now, I've got some bacon grease right here, and I usually keep it in the refrigerator and I rotate it because I use bacon for a lot of things, you know. So I'm gonna put my bacon grease in here. I'm gonna let it melt. Now, some people use olive oil, some people use vegetable oil, some like to use lard. I think it's probably all good, but I like bacon grease. There's something about that flavor when you refry your beans, see? Now I put in about 3 tablespoons of bacon grease in here, and I'm gonna move it around until it gets real nice and melted. Now as you can see, my bacon grease is nice and hot. I'm gonna add my onions. See, I've got about 1/4 of a cup right here. And I'm gonna move them around until they get nice and translucent and they release their flavor in here. Now my onions have gotten a little golden. Now it's time for me to add my beans. If you add too much of the broth, then your beans will be really watery. See, they're getting nice and hot in the bacon grease. Now I'm gonna be using my bean masher. This is the one that I like to use, but you can use your immersion blender like this, or you can put them into a blender cup and then you can blend them. But I think that they come out like pudding and I don't like that. So I like to use this one, the old-fashioned way. Now I've got a cup here and I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of the broth. And I've got 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon tomato flavor. I'm gonna add it in there. Not only does this add pretty color, but the flavor is delicious. So I'm gonna mix it up like this and the flavor will be delicious in here. You wanna mash them up until they look just the way you want them to look. Now I've got a piece of the ham hock. Look at this. See, and I'm gonna smash it up in here real good. And since it's just falling apart tender, it'll just disappear, but the flavor will be unbelievable in here. See, you can hardly see it anymore. And I'll give them a stir until they dry up just a little bit. And in the meantime, they're picking up that flavor from the bacon grease. Now my refried beans are ready. Breakfast is our favorite meal of the day. Today I'm gonna be serving my refried beans with potato and eggs. I've got some homemade tortillas that I made while my beans were cooking. I've got some bacon strips right here that I fried. My homemade salsa, my everyday salsa. I'll put a link below. And I've got some freshly grated Colby Jack cheese. Now this is the way my mama made our tacos when we were growing up. See, we get a flour tortilla. Now you put your refried beans in here like this. You put a little bit of the cheese while the beans are hot. You want it nice and cheesy. And then you put your potato and eggs. Here are my potato and eggs. And then the salsa. You just can't have a taco without salsa. See? And then you get one of your bacon strips. Put it right in there, tuck it in there. And then wrap it up. Now it's time for the taste test. Mmm. Mmm. Absolutely heavenly. The combination of the bacon with the refried beans, little bit of that cheese, and the potato and eggs with homemade flour tortillas. You just can't do it any other way. So these are my refried beans. I hope you like my video. If you do, give me a thumbs up, send me a comment and tell me what you think. Thank you.